it's still in the press conference. It painted an interesting picture about what the future of the Giants is going to be, and it came out in the press conference that Farhan has also been given. They've agreed to, in principle, a new contract that's going to stretch out until Bob Melvin got a 3-year deal. Farhan got extended.
Farhan has 1 year remaining.
1 year left.
And I guess they've been talking about it, but somebody asked him, and Farhan, you only have 1 year left? And Bob's for 3 years? And he goes,
Larry, do you want to weigh in? Yeah. And so, was it Greg or Larry?
I think it was Greg.
Yeah, Greg, you want to comment on that? He's like, yep, we've agreed.
We're working on it. It's just about done.
It's done. So they're going to be together. They're going to be together for the next 3 years and see what they can do together. There was a couple of interesting things when they talked about free agents potentially, and they asked Giants chairman Greg Johnson about what fans could expect as far as payroll goes. And his quote was, well, I think it depends on who we target. When you look at the luxury tax, 1 year, you can go past that if you have to. I don't think it's something we want to do for a long period. Which is reasonable, but he also said, our goal is to somewhat break even. Now, their payroll last year in San Francisco was $173.8 million. It should be, if they put in all their ARB-eligible guys, it should be right around the same. But they want to add pieces. And Bob said in his press conference...
They've tried the last couple of years.
They have tried.
Arson Judge,
Arson Judge. Yeah, but Bob said, basically, I've got a line on some free agents, and I can certainly help. I wonder if Blake Snell...
Hey, Blake.
would be in the mix for that. I don't know... I don't know Bob's relationship with Blake. I imagine that it's pretty solid. Maybe not. I have no idea. But I know that he's going to... When a manager comes in with a clean slate like that and the GM has now been extended for 3 years, what is their goal? They're going to get in a room, they're going to huddle up and go, how do we win? How do we beat the Padres? How do we beat the Giants? And now, how do we make sure that the upstart World Series, appearing Arizona Diamondbacks aren't on us as well? So make no mistake, man. Bob Melvin has his work cut out for him. There's no question about it. It's still going to be a tough division, I would imagine. And so they got to find a way to get players there. Bob Melvin helps that, in my opinion. When guys check in with other guys that have played for Bob, they said, you'll love it. And they said that about him being here. Talked to 1,000 people, everyone 100% across the board. You'll love playing for Bob. You'll love playing for Bob. So that concerns me a little bit. Now that Bob Melvin is essentially on the recruiting trail, because why wouldn't he be? He wants good players too. And they don't have a stacked roster. They don't. They've got some young talent, no question about it. And they've got some frontline starting pitching. Bob's done a lot more with less before. He has. He didn't do it here. It was a rough year. It was awful. He takes a lot of the responsibility. A.J. Preller takes a lot of the responsibility. Them as a tandem, it didn't work out. But
I thought it was interesting how when Bob Melvin was asked about what his philosophy is when it comes to analytics, all he talked about was Oakland.
Correct.
And how great Oakland was. And there's been reports over the last couple of years here in San Diego that he didn't feel like he was getting the right information or enough information from San Diego's analytic team. Remember there was a podcast that went around a year ago that we played on the show. I don't know if we still have it, but basically it was Bob Melvin told me, he goes, I don't have any of the same information that I had in Oakland.
Yeah.
We're like, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
And he goes up to San Francisco. He's like, Oakland was great. Oakland, we worked together. Yep. We had a great analytics team. And I go,
They have a huge staff. And he mentioned it yesterday. And now, we'll figure out who he's going to bring. The rumor mill is he's going to take Matt Williams and Ryan Christensen.
I think that's safe to assume.
To those guys, thank you. Wish you well. Matt Williams, more bad sends than maybe any third base coach I think I've ever seen. So I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But, listen, enough about the San Francisco Giants. They now have Bob Melvin as their manager. They're going to move forward with that. They're excited about it. Now, in the YouTube chat for the Giants presser, I didn't see a lot of excited Giants fans, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Oh, my God.
I didn't see maybe one. They weren't happy. They're not happy about this. It's not that they loved Gabe Kapler. I don't think anybody really loved Gabe Kapler. They just, in their eyes, they looked at Bob Melvin as a retread. That's what I saw all over and over. Retread. We need somebody different. And I'm like, bro, you just had somebody different. Gabe Kapler's as different as it gets. So
I mean, from Bochy to Kapler, very different.
Very different.
And then from Kapler to Bob,
which is going to be very different.
Very different.
And I think,
whereas I think Bob and Bochy are a little bit more similar.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll see how it plays out. I mean, and we'll see him opening day. We'll see how it goes. And taking the job, you heard about it, you read about it, it was rumored. Then when it comes out, watching him speak about the Giants, watching him post something on Twitter, hey, Giants fans, like, he was complimentary in his words about the Padres, and but you could tell, man. Let's do real quick, Paulie, let's play number 3 on the sound list of Bob Melvin. Why is San Francisco better for him than San Diego?
Look, I really don't want to get too much into the San Diego situation other than the fact that I really enjoyed my time there. Some things transpired last year in a difficult year for the team with high expectations. I think there was a narrative at the end that probably wasn't going to go away with me being on my last year of my contract. And I think as far as that organization goes, it's probably not fair if that narrative continued through, next year. So all things considered, this opportunity came about, and for all the reasons I stated, this feels like the right one for me. But I very much enjoyed my time in San Diego. It just seems like with a lot of things that were popping up there, it just was time to move on.
And the funny thing is both parties.
That says so much to me.
It does. He was never going to resign because you'd be a fool to walk away from $4 million.
Right.
He was never going to resign. And AJ was never going to fire him. So something had to give. And the Giants, when they fired Gabe Kapler, we all said, yeah, this is a very real possibility. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I'm sure he's been on the board in San Francisco, top of the list before they fired Gabe Kapler. You hear rumors of things not going well in San Diego, just like AJ heard rumors of, Oakland's going to do this, they're going to move to Vegas. So he makes that call. He makes the call to Oakland. They end up stealing Bob Melvin. I don't look at any of this really as an indictment. Like, I don't look at it and say, this is 2 jobs in a row. Bob's left with a year left on his deal. Like, no. He's under contract. If they wanted him here, they would have extended him. It also didn't really make sense to extend him, so you're at a stalemate. So you do what you do. Bob Melvin's now the manager of the San Francisco Giants.
Those comments that he just made, though, about how there was a narrative in San Diego that kept popping up, and I knew if I stayed, it was going to continue to pop up.
And it was.
That tells me, 100% believe that.
First question is spring training. How's your relationship going?
And we've been told, oh no, everything was great with us, Bob and AJ. We're gonna move forward, no problems,
right.
Everything's solved. For Bob to go out and say that at his introductory press conference in San Francisco tells me, no, nothing changed.
No, really, nothing changed.
We had problems. They weren't going to get resolved.
Well, and I think,
and it was going to be a mess next year.
And I will always wonder if AJ had went. AJ talked about them meeting in Arizona last week. If AJ had gone to his house in Arizona and said, you know what, man. In the interest of putting all this to bed, here's a 3-year deal. Giants are calling. Yeah. Here's a 3-year deal. I don't know that Bob signs.
Does this tell you I'm serious?
I don't know that Bob signs it. I don't know. AJ obviously didn't do that. But again, going into one more year under contract with a rift, perceived or otherwise. I love that both parties, though, are doing the thing where they're like, Bob's like, I took the job. San Diego deserves better than that narrative. And then the Padres are saying, we just wanted him really to have his dream job. No one's really...
We don't really care what happens to us. We just want to make sure
Bob's happy. Like, it's just priceless to me. It's priceless. It makes you just... It makes you roll your eyes and go, all right, look at these guys. Look at everybody, people helping people. Look at what we do here in San Diego. Thank you, Bob, so much for sparing us all the narrative of next season as you go to one of our division rivals, and now we're going to manage against us. So